Are you thinking about making your own living trust, but you don't know where to start? Well, in this video, I will show you step by step how to make your own trust in less than 10 minutes using a free online tool. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please do so. Hit the subscribe button to get notified whenever I post a new video about living trusts. By the way, my name is Edmund. I am a living trust lawyer. I've helped hundreds of families and I've taught thousands of people how to do it themselves, and I'm excited to share my tips and tricks with you today. If you want to learn more about the entire process of how to make a trust the right way, then check out my free online class at freetrustclass.com, and the link is in the description below. So the first step to make your own living trust is to choose the right template online. I'm going to show you how to make your trust using lawdepot.com. I like it because it's been around for 20 years. Millions have used it. It's completely free. It's easy to use, and their templates are tailored to each specific state. So your state that you live in, which is really important because many states have different laws, especially when it comes to the signing requirements. And before I get started, really quick legal disclaimer, please use Law Depot at your own risk. I can't guarantee that the trust you make on Law Depot will work for you to accomplish all of your estate planning goals because I'm not your lawyer. I'm not giving you any legal advice today. All I'm doing is giving you information, and you should definitely talk to a lawyer if you have any legal questions. So let's get started. So what you'll do first is you'll click the link in the description below to Law Depot, and it's going to take you to this screen right here. The first question it's going to ask you is, what type of property do you want to put in your living trust? I know for most of you that are watching this, you are a homeowner, you own real estate. I know that all of you have financial accounts. Some of you have businesses, and all of you have personal property like cars and clothing and furniture. And so everyone should be choosing mix of assets because that's what you're putting into the trust. You're putting a mix of assets in there. And I'll explain more later on. For example, do you put your retirement accounts in there? Do you put your life insurance? Those are questions that I'll answer for you later in this video. And if you want to go more in depth, you should definitely check out my free class, freetrustclass.com. It'll go into much more detail. Okay, then you'll click Save and Continue. And then the next question they'll ask you is really simple. Where do you live? And this is really important because the cool thing about Law Depot is that it customizes your trust based on where you live, because different states have different laws, especially signing requirements. If you don't sign your trust correctly, the trust will not be enforceable. So make sure you choose the right state, and Law Depot will generate the correct template specific to your state. And by the way, I've gone through dozens of free online trust makers as well as trust templates. And the reason why I like Law Depot is because it's specific to the state. If you look at other free online tools that you can find, a lot of them are not specific to states. And so a lot of them might not even work when your family needs it most. So if you're watching this today, the good news is you know which one is actually tailored to specific states, and so that's why I recommend Law Depot. So after you choose your state, you're going to click Save and Continue. And the next step is the first question they'll ask you is, are you creating this living trust with anyone else? Meaning, are you creating a trust with your spouse? If it's a yes, click yes. If it's no, click no. Who are you creating this trust with? And you'll say your spouse. If you're not married and you're creating a trust with somebody, I don't recommend you do this yourself. I recommend that you talk to a lawyer. If you are doing this with a spouse, but you guys can't agree to certain decisions like who gets what, I don't recommend you do this yourselves. Talk to a lawyer so they can be your mediator. And also, if you are married and you're doing this yourself without the consent or knowledge of your spouse, I don't recommend that because that can cause a lot of legal issues for your children or for your beneficiaries when you pass away. So if you're married, make sure that you're on the same page. Make sure that you're doing it as a spouse. If if you're going to do this together without a lawyer. Okay, so hit save and continue. And by the way, let me go back a little bit. So you might see this term right here, grantor. If you need a definition of the grantor, there's a frequently asked questions tab right here to answer some really key questions for you. The grantor is you, the creator of the trust. So whoever's creating the trust is the grantor. And so I just want to define that term for you. So the next question they'll ask you is, what's your name? So I would start with the husband's name. If you're married, if you're single, obviously it's your name. And make sure it's your full legal name. A lot of people put their nicknames. A lot of people put their short form name, but it has to be your full legal name. So look at your driver's license to make sure that it's your full legal name. And then the city that you live in, you should put that here as well. All right, so by the way, I'm gonna go through this pretty quickly. If you have to go back to it or if you have to pause, you can do that. I just wanna maximize your time. Now, if you're married, it's gonna ask you for your spouse details. Here, you're gonna put your wife's name, her full legal name, where she lives, and the state that she lives in. And then after that, you're gonna go to the trustee section. The trustee is the person who's going to manage your trust assets while the both of you, so if you're single or if you're married, whoever you are, the creators of the trust will be the trustees. The trustee is kind of like the CEO of a company. The CEO manages the company. A trustee, same thing. The trustees manage the trust. And so as a trustee, you have full legal control over all your assets. A lot of people ask me, hey, when you put your house, your money into the trust, do you lose control? And the answer is no when you're setting up a revocable living trust, which is exactly what you're doing. You're setting up a revocable living trust, which means that you can update it, you can move assets in and out of it, you can sell, you can give it away, you can do anything you want with your assets while you're alive. And so you're not losing any control. Your beneficiaries cannot come to you and say, hey, dad, hey, mom, give me my assets now. They can't do that. They have no legal rights until you pass away, or if you're married, until the both of you pass away. So that's the trustee. You get to control everything, everything that you own inside the trust while you're still alive and you're healthy, meaning if you don't have dementia. Once you have dementia or once you're incapacitated, then the next trustee will step in. The next trustee are the people you choose to make the decisions for you. They'll look at the trust and say, okay, what did this person want me to do with these assets? And so later on, I'll talk to you how to choose a trustee to replace you. So the first question it'll ask you is, will you and your spouse, if you're married, control your assets as trustee? And the answer is yes. You want to control your assets while you're alive. The next question is, who will manage your trust if you and your spouse will become incapacitated? So this is where the successor comes in. So in the event that you and your spouse cannot manage your assets anymore, let's say you've passed away, who will be your successor trustees? Successor trustee is the one that succeeds you, who's going to come in and take over everything and make sure that the people you want to receive your assets will be able to do so. So the trustee is very, very important, because one of the biggest reasons why you're setting up a trust is to avoid probate, right? And so when you avoid probate, that means that your assets will not go into the probate court system, because the reason why probate is so terrible is that all your assets, like your home, goes into the probate process, and your kids have to spend 1 to 2 years in the probate courts in order to receive their inheritance. And during that process, a judge supervises the whole process. There's attorneys, there's costs, there's fees. And so that's the downside of probate court. One of the benefits of a probate court process, however, is that it's supervised by a judge, which means that there's reduced chances of fraud, meaning your trustees take the money and go somewhere else with it, steal it from your beneficiaries. And so that's one of the benefits of probate courts, to make sure that it minimizes fraud. However, when you set up a trust, you're not part of the court process because a trust is administered privately. You have your trustees who's going to take control of all your assets, like your home, your bank accounts, and the trustees themselves are going to distribute the assets to the kids or to the beneficiaries. And so one of the drawbacks of a trust is that the trustees can steal everything. And if the kids don't find out, then too bad, right? But that's why it's so important when you set up a trust to choose successor trustees that you can trust. That's why they're called a trustee. Okay, so make sure you trust these people that you're naming as the trustees. They should not have gambling issues. They should not have mental, emotional issues that would cause them to not be able to follow instructions and to distribute assets according to your will. But just know that a trustee doesn't have to be super savvy, because the trustee is going to hire a lawyer like myself to administer the trust with them. So a lawyer usually prepares all the legal paperwork to make sure that everything is legally distributed to the children. And so choosing a trustee is really important. Make sure that you trust them. Make sure that they get along with your kids. If you take my free trust class on freetrustclass.com, I go through all of this in much more detail. So here you get to choose 2 people to be your successor trustee. That means that these 2 people will act together. Okay, Law Depot does not allow you to put your first choice, second choice, third choice. Law Depot just says, hey, who are the 2 people who's going to step in to manage these assets together with you? You don't have to choose 2. I recommend you choose 2 because just in case one of them can't do it, then at least the second one can still be there to help you. And so this person can be your brother and sister. This person can be your children. So choose at least one, but you can also choose 2 to act together. Okay. So make sure you put their full legal names, where they live, and these details. It's very important that you put their full legal name. So ask your trustees, hey, what does your legal name say on your driver's license? Because usually that's how they identify themselves, is using their driver's license. So make sure it reflects what their names are in the driver's license. So after you put your trustees down, you're going to click Save and Continue. Now, the next section is regarding your assets. What assets do you plan to transfer into your trust? So the way that a trust works is a trust can only manage and distribute what's inside the trust. So think about a trust like a safe deposit. A safe, right? A safe that has a code on it, and when you open it with the code, you get to put stuff in there. So the rule about living trust is that a living trust can only control what you put inside. So a lot of people own homes and they want to put their homes in the trust, but a lot of people, they make the mistake of not putting the home into the trust, and they pass away, and what happens is the house goes into probate. So you can have the best trust in the world, but if you don't transfer the assets into the trust, then the problem is that that house, that asset might go to probate, or it might go to someone that you didn't intend it to go to. Okay, so the trust can only control and distribute what's inside the trust. So number 1, you should definitely put your house in the trust, right? If you want your house to go to your beneficiaries according to what the trust says, you have to put it in the trust. And there's 2 steps to doing this. A lot of people get this wrong, so make sure you write this down. The first step is to list it in your trust, meaning the trust document should have the property listed as a trust asset. So that's what you're doing here, okay? The first asset you should put is your property. So you'll put the full address of your property, and then you're also going to put the assessor's parcel number. When you look at your deed, it should show an assessor's parcel number on it. So put that there as well to make sure that it's very clear that it's this property. If you have a second property, you should also list it here. Other properties you should list here are checking accounts and savings accounts. And so you should definitely put those here as well. Okay, investment accounts should go here, and so that's the first step. Okay, is to list all of your important assets. You don't have to list everything you own in the house, okay? You don't need to do that. But you have to make sure that your important things like financial accounts, your real property should also always be here. Now, please note that retirement accounts are generally not in the trust because when you transfer retirement accounts into the trust, you might incur additional taxes. And so please be mindful of that. If you want more details, definitely check out my free class, freetrustclass.com, and I'll go through all of that. So once you list all of your assets here, by the way, you should definitely read the FAQ right here to learn more. After you list all your assets, you're going to click Save and Continue. And the next question they'll ask you is related to gifts. Do you want to gift anything from your trust? And so this right here, gifts are, for example, is there a specific personal property that you want to give? For example, a car? Or is there a specific dollar amount that you want to give someone, like $1,000, $100? So here is where you can lift specific gifts to people. So let me give you some examples. For example, Tom Yan from Los Angeles, California. I want to give, let's say, my Honda Accord, okay? And so you would list specifically the year, make, and model, and license plate for the recipient to receive. And so you put that here. You can also give your bank account, right? So you can write the balance of savings account number, whatever it is, at Bank of America. If you want to give a home to somebody, right, you could put that here as well. So make sure you read the frequently asked questions, and you'll get more information regarding that. And again, check out my freetrustclass.com for more information. So after you've given specific gifts to people, and by the way, you don't have to. If you want your kids to divide everything equally, you don't have to give specific gifts to people. And so you just click no right here. But this is a really nice option if you, for example, want to give like a certain type of collection to someone. It's nice to put that here. All right, so the next question that they'll ask you is beneficiary details. Who are your beneficiaries? This is where you're going to make decision. Everything else that I own, right? Everything else that I didn't give in the previous section, specific gifts. Who receives everything else that I have through the trust? And so this is where you put all of your beneficiaries. So you put the, multiple beneficiaries. You put one beneficiary. Make sure you put their full legal name and where they live. If they're a minor, you should definitely check minor because you can treat minors differently. So for example, do you want them to not be able to control everything until they're 25, right? You can make those adjustments for minors as well so that they don't squander their inheritance. And so list the first beneficiary, list the second beneficiary. And so these beneficiaries will receive equally, okay? It's not like the first beneficiary receives first or the second beneficiary receives second in case the first is not there. These people will receive equally. So if you choose two people here, these two people will get everything 50-50. If you choose three, then the three people will get everything a third each. All right, so you'll do that. You'll save and continue. And here it says division of assets equally, right? How do you want to divide your assets between your beneficiaries? Equally. You can also choose unequally. If you choose unequally, it'll ask you for the percentage of the three people or the two people that you just listed. But by default, it is equal, but it does give you the option to say, okay, this person gets 50%, that person gets 25%. So Law Depot gives you that flexibility to do this. Additional terms. Do you want your final taxes and debts to be paid out of the trust? It's usually yes, but please review this by looking at the FAQ to make sure that you're doing things based on your intentions. Do you want your funeral costs and other expenses to be paid out of your trust? Usually it's yes, because you're putting all of your assets, including your bank accounts, in the trust. Do you want your minor beneficiaries to be a certain age before they receive anything from the trust? So this is where the minors come in. Usually minors can have full control of everything when they're 18. If you don't want that, You can increase that, for example, to age 22 that I have here. Then you'll hit save and continue. And then the next question is about pour over will. Do you want to create a pour over will now? I'm going to mark no for now, but you should have a pour over will. Okay. If you go into my free class at freetrustclass.com, I will list out all the documents that you need as part of your trust. But for this tutorial, we're not going to make a will, but you should make one. There's a reason why we have a pour over will for every trust. Signing details, it's going to ask you, hey, when do you want to sign your trust? Where are you signing it? How many witnesses will sign this trust? So this is the important part, because Law Depot, if your state allows you options as to how you choose to sign, it'll give you options. So for example, I've chosen California, and California allows you to notarize. It also allows you to have one witness and a notary. It also allows you to have two witnesses and a notary. Most trusts in California are notarized, and so I would choose this. But if there's three options, then you can choose one of them. This one might be the safest, two witnesses and a notary, so it's like triple the verification that you're actually signing your trust. It's actually you signing the trust, and so you might want to do two witnesses and a notary, but in California, it's not necessary. All you need is a notary public to notarize the document. So you'll hit save and continue. And after that, it's going to generate your document. So once you open the document, you see this? It's all here. It's wonderful. You get a preview of it, and I recommend that you look it over. If you take my class, I'll kind of show you that I have a free, not a free workshop, but a workshop that I host where I explain how to review these legal documents. So I'll basically show you which parts you should really look through to make sure that it's correct before you sign. And so check out my free class at freetrustclass.com for more details. So for Law Depot, in order to download, you have to sign up for the free trial. The free trial, it means that for 7 days, you get to download this for free, okay? And then after the 7 days, if you don't end your subscription, they'll charge you $35 per month until you end the subscription. That's how all free trust makers online do it. Is yes, it's free, but you have to get it done within 7 days. And so as long as you print this out immediately and then cancel your subscription, this is absolutely free. Okay, so you can do that. This is how I teach my students in my workshop what to do in order to get your trust done for free without having to pay for Law Depot. But of course you can pay Law Depot, right? It's $35, which is not a lot. But if you want to save that $35, then you want to make sure you get everything downloaded and done within 7 days. All right. So that's it, right? It's super easy. But if you want more details, check out my freetrustclass.com because let me go back to my slides. So by the way, congratulations, right, for making your trust. But there's more actually, because you have to make sure you make your trust the right way. The first step is what you just did, make your trust correctly. I actually go through more details about everything that I went through today in my workshop. So you want to check it out, you can. You also want to make sure that your trust is signed correctly. So many people, when they come to me to review their existing trust because they did it themselves, when I look at the trust, they signed it incorrectly or they didn't sign it at all. So if you don't sign it correctly, your trust is not going to work because it's not going to be enforceable. So make sure you do it the right way. And also make sure you transfer your house and your other financial assets into your trust correctly. And I go through that in my class. And there's so much more that you need to do to make sure the trust is done the right way so it actually accomplishes your goals, which is to avoid probate and make sure the right people receive your assets. And so here are the consequences of not doing it right. Okay, your house ends up in probate court, which defeats the purpose of why you're doing this. Your kids end up wasting tens of thousands of dollars in probate court because there's fees, there's attorney's fees, there's costs, and also time away from work. that's going to cost them a lot. And your kids are going to waste 1, 2, or more years in probate court. So rather than moving on with their lives, they're going to have to go through the probate process, and the thought of you passing away will linger for 1 or 2 years more because of the things that they have to do in order to receive their inheritance. And also, your house could go to the wrong people. Okay, so if you don't do it right, your house might end up in the wrong people's hands. So that's why it's really important to get a trust done. All right, so check out my free class. I'll show you how to make your own living trust the right way so you can protect your house from probate with confidence and without making mistakes. And I'm not here to sell my legal services, okay? I'm not here to get you as a client. I do have a workshop that you can enroll in, but when you do my free class, when you take my free class, a lot of people are able to get their trust done themselves, okay? So click the link in the description below to register for the free class so you can create your own living trust without a lawyer. So I want to leave you with this Bible verse. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. And that's exactly what you're doing. The gift that you're giving, the last gift, is going to be a beautiful gift because it's going to show your kids that you've taken the time to love on them by making sure that you're not going to leave them a mess, but you're truly going to leave them an inheritance that's going to last for generations. And your children's children, your grandchildren, will also reap the benefits of what you sowed into your children. All right, so God bless you all. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below and subscribe to this channel for more videos about living trusts. God bless you all. Bye.